The Galactic Federation's nexus buzzed with activity. Alien species from across the galaxy gathered for the annual scientific conference. The Nexus, a massive space station, orbited a distant star, serving as the heart of the Federation. It was a place where ideas flowed freely and alliances were forged. Jack Turner, a rugged and resourceful human explorer, stood at the entrance of the Grand Conference Hall. His dark hair was tousled, and his eyes sparkled with excitement. Beside him, Lily Carter, a brilliant scientist with a knack for understanding alien technologies, adjusted her glasses. Her red hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and she clutched a small device in her hands. "Ready for this, Lily?" Jack asked, his voice filled with anticipation. "As ready as I'll ever be," Lily replied, her fingers twitching with nervous energy.
Ow.
This translation device could change everything. The two humans had spent years developing the device. It was designed to translate any alien language in real time. Bridging the communication gap that often hindered progress within the Federation, they entered the conference hall. They were greeted by a cacophony of sounds. Alien species of all shapes and sizes milled about, discussing their latest discoveries. The air was thick with the scent of various alien foods, and the hum of technology filled the space. Jack and Lily made their way to the stage, where they were scheduled to present their invention. The crowd parted for them, curious about the humans who had made such a bold claim. On stage, Jack took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed aliens," he began, his voice steady. "We are here today to introduce a device that will revolutionize communication within the Galactic Federation." The crowd murmured in anticipation. Jack and Lily unveiled the translation device, a small, sleek box with a screen and several buttons. Lily stepped forward, her fingers flying over the controls. "This device can translate any language in real time," she explained. "It will allow us to understand each other better, fostering cooperation and innovation." The crowd erupted in applause. Jack and Lily exchanged a triumphant glance. Their hard work was paying off. However, their moment of triumph was short-lived. A sudden, deafening roar echoed through the Nexus. The ground shook, and alarms blared. The Dreadnought, a massive, seemingly indestructible beast, had attacked. Panic spread through the conference hall. Alien species scrambled to find shelter, while others tried to defend themselves. The Dreadnought, a towering creature with sharp claws and glowing eyes, seemed unstoppable. Jack and Lily found themselves in the midst of the chaos. The translation device slipped from Lily's hands, but Jack quickly picked it up. An idea formed in his mind. "Lily, use the device," he shouted over the noise. Lily nodded, her fingers trembling as she activated the device. Jack stepped forward, holding the device up to the Dreadnought. He pressed a button, and the device began to emit a series of beeps and lights. To everyone's surprise, the Dreadnought paused. It turned its glowing eyes toward Jack, studying him intently. The creature seemed to understand the device's signals. Jack spoke into the device, his voice calm and steady. "We mean you no harm. We want to communicate." The Dreadnought roared again, but this time it was different. It seemed curious, not angry. The creature took a step closer, its massive form casting a shadow over Jack. Queen Ava, human queen who ruled a powerful faction within the Federation, watched from a safe distance. She was intrigued by the interaction between Jack and the Dreadnought. This could be a turning point for the Federation. As the chaos around them continued, Jack and Lily focused on the Dreadnought. They knew they had a chance to make a difference. The beast's sudden interest in Jack could be the key to stopping its rampage. The conference hall fell silent as all eyes turned to Jack and the Dreadnought. The future of the Galactic Federation hung in the balance. It was up to these two humans to find a way to communicate with the beast. The Dreadnought's roar echoed through the Nexus, silencing the panicked cries of the alien species. Jack Turner stood firm, the translation device in his hands. Lily Carter watched from behind him, her heart pounding. Jack spoke again into the device. "We want to help you. We can understand you." The Dreadnought roared once more, but this time it seemed less angry. It took another step closer, its massive form towering over Jack, the creature's glowing eyes fixed on him, as if studying every detail. Queen Ava, the human queen, watched from a secure location. She was intrigued by the interaction. This could be a game changer for the Federation. She ordered her guards to stand down, allowing Jack and Lily to continue their attempt to communicate with the beast. Jack pressed a button on the device, and it emitted a series of lights and sounds. The dreadnought responded with a low growl, almost as if it was trying to mimic the device's signals. Lily's eyes widened in excitement. "It's working," she whispered to Jack. "It understands." Jack nodded, his mind racing. "We need to keep it calm. If we can communicate, we can find out why it's attacking." The dreadnought took another step closer, its massive claws clicking on the floor. Jack held his ground, speaking into the device again. "We are not your enemy. We want to be friends." The beast roared, but this time, it seemed more curious than angry. It sniffed the air, its nostrils flaring. Jack and Lily exchanged a hopeful glance. Suddenly, the dreadnought reached out with a claw, gently tapping the device. Jack and Lily froze, not knowing what to expect. The beast's claw was massive, but it handled the device with surprising care. Lily quickly adjusted the settings on the device, trying to enhance the communication. The dreadnought continued to study it, its glowing eyes never leaving Jack. Queen Ava watched with bated breath. If Jack and Lily could establish a connection with the dreadnought, it could mean the end of the attacks. She signaled her advisors to prepare for any outcome. Jack spoke again, his voice steady. "We can help you. We can make things better." The dreadnought roared, a sound that seemed less aggressive and more communicative. It took another step closer, its massive form casting a shadow over Jack and Lily. The creature's eyes glowed brighter, as if it was trying to convey something important. Lily's fingers flew over the device's buttons, trying to interpret the beast's signals. Suddenly, the device beeped, and a series of words appeared on the screen. "Alpha," the device translated. Jack and Lily looked at each other in confusion. "Alpha," Jack repeated. The dreadnought roared again, this time with a tone that seemed almost respectful. It bowed its massive head slightly, as if acknowledging Jack. Queen Ava's eyes widened. "Named him Alpha," she realized. "It sees him as a leader." Jack and Lily exchanged a stunned look. The dreadnought had recognized something in Jack, something that made it see him as a leader. This could be the key to stopping the attacks. Jack spoke into the device again. "If I am Alpha, then let us work together. Let us find a way to stop the fighting." The dreadnought roared, a sound that seemed to convey agreement. It took a step back, its massive form still looming over them. The creature's eyes glowed with a new intensity, as if it was ready to follow Jack's lead. Queen Ava signaled her guards to stand down completely. The threat seemed to have passed, at least for now. She approached Jack and Lily, her face a mixture of relief and curiosity. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with awe. "You communicated with the dreadnought." Jack and Lily smiled, their hearts still racing from the encounter. They knew they had made a breakthrough, but the real challenge was just beginning. They needed to find a way to use this new bond to protect the Nexus and the Galactic Federation. Jack Turner and Lily Carter spent the next few weeks studying the dreadnought's behavior and communication patterns. They set up a temporary lab in a secure section of the Nexus, with Queen Ava's full support. The human queen was eager to understand the bond between Jack and the beast. Jack and Lily worked tirelessly, analyzing the data from their translation device. They discovered that the dreadnought operated on a hierarchical social structure, similar to that of wolves. It respected strength, courage, and leadership. "It named me Alpha because it sees me as its leader," Jack explained to Lily one evening as they reviewed their findings. "We need to use this to our advantage." Lily nodded, her mind racing with ideas. "If we can strengthen this bond, we might be able to control the dreadnought. We could turn it into an ally." Queen Ava visited them often, eager to learn more. She brought supplies and resources, ensuring they had everything they needed. The human queen was determined to use this new alliance to protect the Nexus and the Galactic Federation. Jack and Lily began training with the dreadnought. They spent hours each day learning to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. Jack would issue commands through the translation device, and the beast would respond with actions. One day, during a particularly intense training session, the dreadnought suddenly roared and charged at Jack. Lily screamed, but Jack stood his ground. He knew this was a test of his leadership. The beast stopped just short of him, its massive form looming over Jack. It roared again, this time with a sound that seemed almost proud. Jack spoke into the device, issuing a command. The dreadnought obeyed, retreating to its starting position. Jack and Lily exchanged a triumphant glance. It passed the test. The bond between Jack and the dreadnought was growing stronger. Queen Ava watched with growing admiration. She knew this alliance could be a powerful tool for the Federation. She began to plan how to use it to their advantage. However, not everyone was happy with this development. Some factions within the Federation feared the power Jack now held. They began to plot against him, seeing him as a threat to their own interests. One evening, as Jack and Lily were wrapping up their work, a group of conspirators approached them. They were led by a human named Marcus, a rival scientist who had always been jealous of Jack and Lily's success. "What do you think you're doing?" Marcus demanded, his voice filled with anger. "You're playing with forces you don't understand?" Jack stood his ground, his eyes locking with Marcus's. "We're trying to protect the Nexus and the Federation," he replied calmly. "The Dreadnought is our ally now," Marcus sneered. "It's an ally? It's a beast. Well, it will turn on you eventually." Lily stepped forward, her eyes flashing with determination. "Oh boy. We believe in this alliance. We believe in Jack's leadership." Marcus's face twisted with anger. "You're making a mistake," he warned. "Mark my words, this will end badly." Jack and Lily ignored his threats, focusing on their work. They knew they had a responsibility to protect the Nexus and the Federation, even if it meant facing opposition. Queen Ava, aware of the growing dissent, increased her support for Jack and Lily. She knew they were the key to maintaining peace within the Federation. She ordered additional security for them, ensuring their safety. As the weeks passed, the bond between Jack and the Dreadnought grew stronger. They worked together seamlessly, their communication becoming more fluid. Jack's leadership was undeniable, and the Beast followed his commands without question. The Galactic Federation began to see the benefits of this alliance. With the Dreadnought on their side, they were able to repel several threats that had been plaguing the galaxy. Peace began to return to the Nexus. However, the threat from within the Federation loomed large. Jack and Lily knew they had to be vigilant, ready to face any challenge that came their way. They were determined to protect their new ally and the people they had sworn to serve. The Galactic Federation's Nexus enjoyed a period of relative peace, thanks to the alliance between Jack Turner and the Dreadnought. Jack and Lily Carter continued their work, strengthening the bond between the Beast and its Alpha. Queen Ava supported them wholeheartedly, seeing the potential in this unique relationship. However, the peace was short-lived. A rogue faction within the Federation, led by the jealous scientist Marcus, began to plot against Jack and Lily. They saw the growing power of the Dreadnought as a threat to their own interests and sought to undermine it. One evening, as Jack and Lily were conducting a training session with the Dreadnought, an alarm blared throughout the Nexus. The rogue faction had launched an attack aiming to overthrow Queen Ava and take control of the Federation. Jack and Lily sprang into action. Jack issued a command through the translation device, and the Dreadnought roared in response. The Beast charged toward the source of the attack, its massive form cutting through the chaos. The rogue faction, caught off guard, scrambled to defend themselves. They had not expected the Dreadnought to join the fight on Jack's side. The Beast's strength and speed were unmatched, and it quickly turned the tide of the battle. Jack and Lily followed closely behind, using their knowledge of the Beast's behavior to guide its actions. They worked together seamlessly, their communication flawless. The rogue faction stood no chance against this formidable team. Queen Ava watched from a secure location, her heart pounding with excitement. She knew this was the moment they had been preparing for. The alliance between Jack and the Dreadnought was proving its worth. As the battle raged on, Marcus emerged from the chaos, his face twisted with anger. He aimed a weapon at Jack, determined to end the threat once and for all. Lily saw the danger and reacted instantly. She grabbed Jack, pulling him out of the way, just in time. The weapon fired, but the shot went wide, missing them both. Jack turned to face Marcus, his eyes filled with determination. "This ends now," he declared, his voice steady. Marcus sneered, but Jack was undeterred. He issued a command through the translation device, and the Dreadnought responded with a deafening roar. The Beast charged at Marcus, its massive claws outstretched. Marcus tried to flee, but it was too late. The Dreadnought caught him, pinning him to the ground with its massive strength. Jack approached, his face set in a grim expression. "You threatened the peace of the Nexus," Jack said, his voice filled with authority. "You threatened our alliance. This ends here." Marcus struggled, but the dreadnought held him fast. Jack issued another command and the beast released him. Marcus lay on the ground, defeated. Queen Ava approached, her face a mixture of relief and admiration. "Well done," she said to Jack and Lily. "You have saved the Nexus and the Federation." Jack and Lily bowed their heads in respect. "We did what we had to do," Jack replied. "We protected our home." The rogue faction was quickly subdued, and order was restored to the Nexus. Queen Ava thanked Jack and Lily for their bravery, assuring they received the recognition they deserved. The Galactic Federation began to see the true value of the alliance between Jack and the Dreadnought. With the beast on their side, they were able to repel any threat that came their way. Peace returned to the Nexus, stronger than ever. However, Jack and Lily knew that their work was far from over. They continued to train with the Dreadnought, strengthening their bond and preparing for any future challenges. They were determined to protect the Nexus and the people they had sworn to serve, no matter the cost. The Nexus enjoyed a period of peace and prosperity, thanks to the alliance between Jack Turner, Lily Carter, and the Dreadnought. Jack and Lily continued their work, strengthening the bond between the beast and its alpha. Queen Ava supported them wholeheartedly, ensuring they had all the resources they needed. However, the peace was once again threatened. A new enemy emerged, a powerful human faction from a distant planet. They sought to conquer the Nexus and take control of the Galactic Federation. Their leader, a ruthless man named Victor, was determined to achieve his goal at any cost. Jack and Lily received a distress signal from the Nexus. They knew they had to act fast. They gathered their supplies and prepared to set off on their next adventure, the Dreadnought following closely behind. As they traveled through space, Jack and Lily discussed their plan. They knew they had to stop Victor and his faction before they reached the Nexus. The fate of the Federation hung in the balance. When they arrived at the distant planet, they found Victor's forces gathered, preparing for their attack. Jack and Lily knew they had to act quickly. They issued a command through the translation device, and the Dreadnought roared in response. The beast charged toward Victor's forces, its massive form cutting through the enemy lines. Jack and Lily followed closely behind, using their knowledge of the beast's behavior to guide its actions. They worked together seamlessly, their communication flawless. Victor's forces were caught off guard. They had not expected the Dreadnought to join the fight on Jack's side. The beast's strength and speed were unmatched, and it quickly turned the tide of the battle. Victor emerged from the chaos, his face twisted with anger. He aimed a weapon at Jack, determined to end the threat once and for all. Lily saw the danger and reacted instantly. She grabbed Jack, pulling him out of the way just in time. The weapon fired, but the shot went wide, missing them both. Jack turned to face Victor, his eyes filled with determination. "This ends now," he declared, his voice steady. Victor sneered, but Jack was undeterred. He issued a command through the translation device, and the Dreadnought responded with a deafening roar. The beast charged at Victor, its massive claws outstretched. Victor tried to flee, but it was too late. The Dreadnought caught him, pinning him to the ground with its massive strength. Jack approached, his face set in a grim expression. "You threatened the peace of the Nexus," Jack said, his voice filled with authority. "You threatened our alliance. This ends here." Victor struggled, but the Dreadnought held him fast. Jack issued another command, and the beast released him. Victor lay on the ground, defeated. Jack and Lily approached, their faces filled with relief. They had stopped Victor and his faction, protecting the Nexus and the Galactic Federation. Queen Ava, who had been monitoring the situation from the Nexus, signaled her gratitude. She knew that Jack and Lily had once again saved the day. She ordered a celebration in their honor, ensuring they received the recognition they deserved. The Galactic Federation began to see the true value of the alliance between Jack and the Dreadnought. With the beast on their side, they were able to repel any threat that came their way. Peace returned to the Nexus, stronger than ever. However, Jack and Lily knew that their work was far from over. They continued to train with the Dreadnought, strengthening their bond and preparing for any future challenges. They were determined to protect the Nexus and the people they had sworn to serve, no matter the cost. As they set off on their next adventure, Jack and Lily knew that the bond they had forged with the dreadnought would continue to be their greatest strength. Together, they would face whatever the galaxy threw their way, always ready to protect their home and their allies.